Hi. Today, I'd like to share some ideas about synchronicity, which I think of as the dance of the universe, a universe, a reality in which everything is connected to everything else, and there is a mystery in how things come together, emerge, and touch our lives. Thinking about synchronicity, I want to also say that there is a concept about awareness, consciousness, that is called non-rational. And I want to make the distinction between non-rational and irrational. Irrational is a word we usually use to roll our eyes and go, yeah, that's way out there. But non-rational is what we have access to when we step outside our concrete, linear, three-dimensional thinking. Think of non-rational as creativity, flights of fancy, things dropping in that have never been there before. And suddenly 1 minute you don't know something and the next minute it's part of your life. And you wonder how there could have ever been a moment that you weren't aware of what is in your awareness now. And synchronicity is like that. One moment, something isn't in your life, or something hasn't worked out, or something hasn't unfolded. And then, whew, all of a sudden, there it is. So I want to share with you here at the beginning an example of synchronicity in my life that really got my attention. And it reinforced the gift of noticing and staying open to synchronistic events. And by the way, synchronicities are happening to all of us all the time. The problem is our Western training, the kind of materialist tradition, doesn't really encourage paying attention to these or giving them meaning. Also, remember, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidence. He didn't describe it as causal, but a meaningful coming together of things, something. So here was a meaningful coincidence that happened in my life one night. I had to give up my office during the pandemic, but I used to every single day walk across Central Park to my office and walk home at night when it was still daylight. And as soon as it started to get too dark to get home by walking, I would take a cab. So I was keenly aware of the cab fare to the precise penny from my office corner to my corner of getting home. So one night, for no reason I understood, I started getting this insistent thought to give the driver $5 extra, just out of the blue. Just pay the fee and give him $5 extra on top of the tip and everything I usually pay. So I did that. And then, quite uncharacteristically for me, I criticized myself all the way into my building. And this is not a usual form of self-talk I engage in. So I was saying, why did you do that? Things that really were not usual for me. Now, I live in a very big building. There are 500 and something units in this building, so it's not small. So the hallways are really long, really long. And I got off the elevator on my floor and walked to my apartment, and resting on the lintel in front of my door, right in the middle, very carefully positioned, was a $5 bill. Now, if someone had dropped that $5 bill, that could have happened, somebody walking down the hallway. I'm not sure it would have been so precisely placed there. So the meaning I took from that, when I saw this $5 bill resting right there in my doorway, was, okay, I get it. The meaning I made of that synchronistic event was never worry about giving away money. Don't ever let that be a source of stress. And I have followed that. That was a teaching for me in that moment, to not give it a thought, do what feels right, and that'll be cool. So that was an example of synchronicity that was a meaningful coincidence to me. What I have come to believe and feel and experience is that when we acknowledge the synchronicities that are constantly dancing through our lives, they actually, either they increase or we just get our head around identifying those moments of synchronicity that come and go. And there are a couple of things related to this that I think are very useful in terms of expanding our awareness for creative input. The first is, I think it's very, very important to be okay with not knowing, not being able to rationally explain, figure out, or predict this kind of experience. That's where the non-rational comes in, because it is really a process of receiving. And when we are open and receptive, we can identify those moments when something kind of out of the ordinary is happening that our culture might usually push to the side, but for us becomes a deeply meaningful and perhaps fundamentally important experience, whether it's something material that's happening out here, or it's something that we take in psychologically that touches us in some really profoundly significant way. So that's really what I wanted to share this time, was to invite you to be aware of synchronicities, invite them into your life, notice, acknowledge, respond when they do drop in, because that will increase your awareness of them. And I have had so many synchronistic experiences that have been not only really meaningful, but deeply helpful. I remember one time walking along the street and I was headed straight home, and I just had the absolutely irresistible urge to turn into a store. And I'm not a shopper, and I don't remember right now what it was that that store had that I actually really needed and hadn't found anywhere. But it was not a rational decision to go into a store to get something. I literally followed the internal nudge to go into that store, and it resolved something that needed resolving. So to let yourself be moved by life and touched by synchronicity, partially through being willing not to know and being willing to receive. And so for now, that's what I'd like to share. And until next time, I hope all is well. Take care. Bye for now.